And welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to have a look at the story break for the F1 paddock yesterday that one of the teams is due a rebrand and are going to rebrand for 2022. Now we haven't been given any details as to who it is, but I thought I'd have a look through the 10 teams on the grid and basically find out who I think is most likely. Now it has been heavily suggested that it could be Rich Energy, and we've seen a lot of propaganda from Storey on Twitter, and I'll get into all of that soon. Without further ado, let's break down and see which teams are probably the most likely for this to happen. Let's categorically start off by saying Ferrari will not be rebranded in 2022 and will be on the grid as they are now. Red Bull are going to start building their own engines from next year, taking over from Honda until at least 2025. Therefore, there's no reason that Red Bull or AlphaTauri would leave the grid or rebrand, so I think those two will stay as they are. Aston Martin's just rebranded this year, and that signed a 10-year deal. Therefore, I don't think that team's going to change either, and Alpine have also just rebranded with a target of winning 1 or 2 races in the next few years, which would also seem that that's sort of a long-term plan. I don't see why Alpine would be shooting back to Renault. I think now this is a commitment that they've made. They'll stick as Alpine. Now we move on to the next 2 teams, and that is Williams, who were recently bought out by Darlington Capital. Now, they didn't change the name last year when the buyout happened, and I do believe this was a contractual obligation to stick with the Williams name for the next few years at least. However, Jost Capito has come out and recognised the power of the branding and the fact that Williams are a household name in F1, so I see no reason why that view would have changed within such a short period of time, and I think Williams will stick as they are. Mercedes are another one who have recently become a lot more heavy on the AMG side, especially in the livery of this year's car. Now, there was talk that they could do a little bit like what Alpine have done and basically push forward one arm of the branding of Mercedes. However, Toto Wolff has quashed these rumours by saying that Mercedes will be staying on the grid. He said this last year in October, so I don't see why they would be suddenly getting bought out. I think Mercedes are still committed to this F1 scene that we're in at the minute. I don't think Ineos will buy them out. There was rumours of that, but I think those 2 teams are also safe as we are right now. MSP Motorsport recently invested in McLaren. They bought a 15% stake within the organisation, and that will rise to 33% at a maximum at the end of 2022. Now, this may have aligned with Rich Energy Storey, that a friend of the company had bought a controlling stake within an F1 team, and they would become the title sponsor in 2022. But given that it's only a 33% stake, I don't think that's controlling enough for Rich Energy Storey to be true, and therefore I don't think it'll be with McLaren. Now, McLaren, obviously, they're doing quite well for themselves now. They're in a better financial position, so there's no reason for them to get bought out. And again, it's a household name, so I don't see McLaren changing. But, you know, the story might have aligned there. First team that I think is hugely likely to have a rebrand next year is Alfa Romeo. They were owned by Peter Sauber and were Sauber F1 for quite a few years, but were bought out by Longbow Finance in 2016 and became Alfa Romeo Racing in 2019, with a naming deal that lasts until the end of 2021. Now, with the cost cap regulations coming in, this seems like the perfect opportunity for Longbow Finance to sell up, and this may be where Rich Energy and this so-called friend of theirs have slotted themselves into the F1 grid, and this may be where they become title sponsors. Who knows, that's pure speculation, but Sauber have had links to many other teams in the past. They were linked to BMW, they've been supplied by Ferrari, they had links to Red Bull, they've had huge amount of links, and they've got a lot of connections in the paddock, so this may be where even an Audi or a Porsche comes in and sponsors this team. Now, if that isn't the case, we have heard that they are looking at Renault engines for 2022. That is a rumour within the paddock, and with Red Bull and Honda already committed to this new Red Bull powertrain, it leaves the door open for Renault to supply just one customer team, which may be a huge opportunity for both teams together, but that is the talk within the paddock. Alfa Romeo are a huge chance of a rebrand next year. I do think it might happen. I think there could be 2 teams that get rebranded, but Alfa Romeo, is this where Rich Energy slot in? Who knows? This is where I think Rich Energy will honestly slot back into the grid. I think it will be that with a Haas F1 team, but I don't think it is going to be Haas. I think it will go under a new name, as I think Gene Haas will sell the team at the end of the year. Now, he's maintained a position that they have no loans, they can stay in F1 for years to come, and who knows, if the grid gets shaken up massively, maybe they could win races next year. But personally, I do think there was an element of truth within Drive to Survive, and I do think he wants out of this F1 world, given the success or lack of in the last few years. Now, Williams Storey has been producing liveries on the Rich Energy Twitter page, which feature the number 47, which happens to be Mick Schumacher's number. He's praised both Schumacher and Mazepin in the media, and I think, to be honest, he couldn't have made it any more evident that that is the team that they're probably going to come back with next year. Although, who knows his financial position, because when he tried to buy my team, Sunderland Football Club, he wasn't seen as a credible investor, which happens to be the same story that Force India thought of way back in 2018. So I do think his financial position is probably strong enough to buy Haas, but that is only because it is the cheapest team on the grid. My other reason why I think Rich Energy might be coming back with the Haas car is because he seems to think this car is going to be really competitive. Now it could be all talk, but maybe Haas know something that we don't, because all of their investments have gone into this 2022 car. Maybe they're going to take a huge step forward in performance and get themselves up within the top 3 teams. But I think it'll be Haas that they come back with, albeit under a new identity. So guys, they're my thoughts on who I think will be getting a rebrand next year. Given the fact they lose the looming rights in 2021, it'll be a massive shame to lose Alfa Romeo from the grid with the history they've got in the sport. But unfortunately, change is inevitable, and I do think that will happen at the end of the year. As for Haas, again, Gene Haas isn't interested in F1 anymore. It was a good venture for him, but I don't think he enjoys the competition anymore, being at the back of the grid, and I think he'll probably sell up at the end of the year. If you have enjoyed the video, drop it a thumbs up, drop a subscribe on the channel, and go and check out my 2022 grid prediction video that I did last week. And I will catch you all in the next one.